Welcome to Fox 32 Sunday. Our guest here is Governor Pat Quinn. We're at the Thompson Center, and Governor, really this is just about 36 hours before you leave office that this will air. Any regrets as you look back on the last 30 or 40 years of public life?
Absolutely not. I have no regrets, no apologies. You do the best you can with what you got. You tell the truth. I think I've always been a truth teller. You call them as you see them, and you work as hard as you can. And I've tried to do that in every public assignment I've had, including governor. And I know this has been a great privilege to be governor, an honor, and I helped a lot of people, I believe. And you know, folks come up to me on the street and say thank you. It might be a veteran or somebody who just got health care, or a student got
Is that
a
your proudest achievement, your role in rolling
people
out the Obamacare in Illinois?
Well, no, I think our #1 achievement is when I took office 6 years ago. It was a very dark time for our state. We had an ethics crisis where my predecessor was impeached and removed from office. His predecessor was in jail. Both of them ended up in jail. And we had to rescue our state from a very difficult time. And we did that. And I think that was an important mission and a rescue mission, and got it done.
What are the biggest disappointments from your time as governor and perhaps from the more than 4 decades in Illinois politics?
Well, I don't really look at the world as disappointments. I think you have to have more optimism. You mentioned healthcare a moment ago. Just in the past year, we've added 818,000 people, almost 1 million people in Illinois, to healthcare coverage that they didn't have before. That's a great expansion, the greatest expansion in healthcare in Illinois history. So I look at a more positive way of doing things. And, you know, I walked across Illinois, Mike, in 2001. I was with my doctor, Quentin Young.
From, you did the river to the lake.
Mississippi River all the way to Lake Michigan. And, you know, a lot of working people I met along the way with children didn't have health insurance. And now I think a lot of them do, and more to come. And so those are the kind of things you really focus on rather than disappointments. You know, we were able to get marriage equality.
What are the biggest pieces of work that are undone? The challenges that remain that the next governor and the General Assembly is going to have to deal with?
Well, I laid it out in my last budget last March. I think, #1, you have to invest more in education in general, and particularly early childhood education.
Now, Bruce Rauner's promised to do that.
Well, you have to have the revenue to properly do that. Same thing for our scholarships for students who have the ability to do college work. You know, many of them can't afford to go to college, and we don't want to lose that talent and ability, and they need a scholarship, so you have to invest in that, and our state has done that over half a century. I think the other things is you need to always make sure that we focus on helping consumers and protecting consumers. In our state, there are powerful economic interests and wealthy people who want to take advantage of ordinary folks who raise kids and live from paycheck to paycheck. You got to protect them, and that's what the Citizen Utility Board, I started that a long time ago. We need to have more of those. So I think that's an important mission of the future.
So let me ask you, you refer to increasing investment in education. Governor-elect Rauner says he's going to do that. At the same time, he says by the end of his 4-year term, his first 4-year term, he says he's going to take the income tax back to 3%. Now that's going to, you've seen all the studies about how that's going to cost billions of dollars, and by the end of that term, perhaps if the 3.75% income tax rate stayed the same as it is right now, we might have a pile of unpaid bills of $15 or $20 billion. Can we cut that much out of state government?
Well, I've cut the budget over and over again in reforms and reductions. The budget levels on operating today are the same as 2008, 7 years ago. So I think it's important to always understand the fundamental law of arithmetic. We do want to invest in education and health care and public safety, have human services for people who need a helping hand, and you got to have the revenue to pay for that. It's all about telling the truth also. I try to do that every day I was governor, every day I've been around.
So you still support making that income tax rate of 5% permanent?
You have to have a balance. You got to make sure you pay the bills. Having billions of dollars of unpaid bills is not getting the job done. We were able to whittle down that amount. I think it's important to continue on that path. I think it's also important to invest in important things. But also, I think you need to have a fair system, a system of revenue based on ability to pay. You know, I don't think it's fair to shift the burden onto ordinary working people where they pay more money and unfair levies and fees.
You'd favor a constitutional amendment to change the way the Illinois income tax is structured?
I just think we already had an income tax. It's based on ability to pay. We need to make sure we always pay our bills for important things that we all hold dear. You know, we have a lot of veterans who are coming back not only from Iraq but Afghanistan. We've got to have programs to help them. Many of those veterans get a job, get good health care, make sure they have an opportunity to go to school. And you got to pay for that. And I think it's important in a democracy, you always pay your bills. And so sometimes it may be unpopular at the moment, but in the long run, the best thing to do is make tough, hard decisions that are good for the long run and for the future. And that's what I try to do as governor. Always think about the future, think about fairness. Is this fair to people who don't have lobbyists? The governor's there to fight for everyday people.
Well, Governor, when we come back, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, I want to explore a little bit about the options you're considering for your future. You're still a young guy in good health.
Right. I certainly am.
We'll talk a bit about that when we come back after this break.